Absolver is one of those rare fighting games that feels remarkably different from its peers. Though challenging, its combat isn't based on memorizing complicated series of attacks, but rather on taking part in a master and apprentice system of sorts. The world around it feels underdeveloped, however, which leaves a lot of potential unfulfilled for now. What's here is a beautiful but small open world, a ruined empire that often looks like a watercolor painting brought to life. It contains several widely different biomes and features maps complex enough that it's sometimes easy to get briefly lost in the absence of a minimap. It's a disappointment when the Spartan campaign set here ends abruptly only a handful of hours in, revealing little about its attractive lore in its few cutscenes and scripted interactions with NPCs. But of course, the world is only a backdrop for the action, which is beautiful and fluid to watch in motion and produces moments when the freeform battles end up looking almost choreographed. If Ubisoft's For Honor is about the brutality of melee combat, then Absolver is about its finesse. It concerns itself mainly with martial arts hand-to-hand violence and only occasionally yields the stage to weapons you can summon or pick up in the environment. One of the best features of Absolver is the potential to develop a fighting style that feels uniquely your own. A better name for Absolver would probably be Absorber, in that you can slowly unlock every move you see an NPC or player using against you by dodging or blocking their attacks. As long as you go on to win those fights, the moves are then available in your combat deck, and you can then slot them into combo strings mapped to 4 different stances corresponding to your position around an enemy. That allows for some unique encounters in both World PvP and the 1 vs 1 arenas encountered throughout the 60-level journey. That's especially true when you toss in variables like alternate attacks for each stance, abilities like heals and knockbacks mapped to the D-pad, and separate combat decks that activate after you pick up weapons or summon them with shards you earn from taking damage. Weapons are always a risk though, because they break easily and your opponent can knock them out of your hands and use them against you. There are 4 classes of a sort, based around defensive abilities such as absorbing blows by moving the left thumbstick or evading them entirely. But these are less the rigid roles of most RPGs and more like the canvas on which you paint with your palette of accumulated moves. You can mix and match the moves from one school with another for unique and creative builds. One problem though is that the blocking and dodging needed to learn all these moves often seriously bogs down the otherwise fast-paced action. Farming a mini-boss for his or her moves can take long, dull hours, as in the case of one who unlocks a Drunken Master set. Leveling itself is a bit of a problem, as Absolver does a poor job of explaining the relation of attributes to combat styles and then doesn't let you respec your character once you understand them. It thus encourages playing with and against other players, because learning skills by dueling or fighting mini-bosses alongside another person is much faster than against NPCs. It's fun, and any griefing currently seems manageable, as zones are based around having only 3 players in them at once. 3 vs 3 matches are planned, but won't appear until later. Weapons are currently limited to swords and fist weapons, with more interesting options like bow staffs on hold until later. Even crashes still happen, particularly in the Matrix-like training room where you experiment with decks. Absolver is built on a strong foundation, and the combat remains fun and seemingly balanced long after the short campaign. All the same, Absolver often feels like an early access game because of its brevity and the lack of things to do with its flexible fighting system outside of simple one-on-one duels. That said, its existing best parts are addicting and polished enough to possibly make the others worth the wait. Few fighting games have looked this beautiful, and few have felt this unique. For more on fighting games, check out our reviews for Injustice 2 and Tekken 7.